In case you missed the memo, Google's Pixel and Pixel XL are a big deal. The days of the Nexus program are basically over, and for the first time, Google has complete control over what goes into its smartphones. Is it really any surprise they turned out to be so impressive? The Pixel and Pixel XL have a lot in common, from their quad-core Snapdragon 821 chipsets to their first-rate aluminum and Gorilla Glass construction to their impressive 12.3 megapixel cameras. And I'd really just have to dig into those very quickly. I did not expect those cameras to be as good as they are. The level of detail captured in still images can be astonishing, and the automatic HDR+ feature works incredibly fast and incredibly well, even in low light. Beyond that, they're even better than the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus at compensating for lighting that's too warm or too cool. Even the video stabilization is something to behold. The cameras aren't perfect since they sometimes struggle with focus, and Samsung shooters tend to handle some landscapes better, but these might be the best all-around cameras I've ever seen in a smartphone. Meanwhile, the differences are exactly what you'd expect. The XL is the bigger of the two, with a 5.5-inch Quad HD AMOLED display and a 3440 mAh battery. That's one of the biggest I've seen in a flagship smartphone this year. That combination of components is why I personally prefer the XL, but the regular Pixel is no slouch with its 5-inch 1080p screen and its 2770 mAh battery. Trust me, you're not getting screwed just because you like smaller phones. Those screens, by the way, are actually pretty great. They're really punchy in that typical AMOLED way, though some people might actually find their colors a little too saturated. It's too bad then that the phones just sort of look dull. They're really well built and everything, but the aesthetic is so low-key that it almost lacks character completely. Issues with the bodies aside, the Pixel and Pixel XL are impressively fast devices. My usual workday consists of bouncing between lots of apps all the time, plus a few games when I find the time. Nothing, and I mean nothing, during this testing period managed to make the Pixel or Pixel XL break a sweat. Sure, they'll get a little warm, but there's a level of speed and responsiveness here that's truly pleasing to use regularly. That's also thanks in part to Google's software, and I think it's fair to say that software is where Google's artistry lies. These phones, they're just canvases. The Pixel and Pixel XL ship with Android 7.1, which doesn't add a ton of things on top of the version of Nougat people are already playing with. You can now access quick actions just by long pressing certain app icons, sort of like how 3D touch shortcuts work in iOS. Google hasn't opened up this feature to many developers yet, so for now, you'll be accessing shortcuts solely in apps Google has built. They're pretty useful for composing new emails and pinging favorite contacts in a jiffy though. You'll also be able to send GIFs through the Google keyboard in some apps, though the stock Messenger app is the only one here that seemed to work. Daydream VR support is also included as part of Android 7.1, but I couldn't test that just yet. Then there's the new Pixel interface, which frankly took a little getting used to. All your Google Now cards still live to the left of the main home screen, but you'll access your apps by swiping up from the bottom of the screen. The persistent search bar is gone too, which has thrown off just about everybody I've shown these phones to. You also get just a bunch of free neat stuff as a reward for getting a Pixel. There's unlimited full resolution backups of photos and videos for one. It works in tandem with the Pixel's new Smart Storage feature, which is also exclusive. That automatically clears up space by deleting photos and videos you've already backed up. Pop into the settings menu and you'll also see a new tab for support. In case something goes awry, you can reach out to a Google rep right then and there to help you walk through things. During my testing, I managed to contact a rep in just a few minutes, and they're actually able to help out a lot. You can even share your screen with them to show off what's going on. I just hope this level of service doesn't drop off when more people start buying and using these phones. And of course, there's the Assistant. You might have met it already in Google's Allo messaging app, and you activate it by saying "OK Google" or holding down the home button.
Okay, Google, I'm bored.
Boredom doesn't stand a chance against us.
From there, just start talking. The Assistant can open apps, find restaurants and points of interest nearby, translate things you say into different languages, and even get answers to really silly questions. I've been consistently surprised at how accurate its voice recognition has been too, especially because I can be really mumbly. I loved phones like the earlier Moto X's because their voice command systems came pretty close to acting like an actual assistant, but now Google has given us something tremendously more flexible. The Assistant is much more than a gimmick, but I do have to admit, barking orders to a phone still feels kind of weird. Then again, I unironically treat my Amazon Echo like a person, so that'll probably get easier in time. Ultimately, neither of these phones are perfect, but they come much closer than I ever anticipated. The design is uninspired, and they're not as water resistant as I would like, and the Assistant is not as smart as it could be and will be later this year. Even so, Google has achieved a truly impressive level of cohesiveness with these phones. Gripes aside, I can't deny that nearly everything here works great. Your taste may vary, but there's no getting around it. These phones represent Android at its peak, and Google should be very, very proud of the work it's done here.